right, so I'm currently on the phone with Bran. He's another musician that reached out about the interview series. So I'm going to go ahead and give him the chance to introduce himself.
Yes, my name is Bran Merritt. I'm the lead singer and guitarist and bassist and keyboard and synth player in the band known as Sleep Nation.
Excellent. That's quite an array of instruments you're playing. Go on. I'm sorry.
Not at the same time.
Right.
No, that's okay. I was just gonna. I was going to add in that we are a two-piece, the rock and roll out of control dynamic duo. The drummer Joey Loretta is with me, and well, he's not with me physically here, but in the band Sleep Nation, we're just a two-piece. So when you see us live, you only see two people on stage, and it's been quoted. I didn't say this, but it has been quoted that we rivaled the sound of a full orchestra.
Wow,
but that's because we cheat. Yeah. That's because we cheat.
Like with backing tracks or something like that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We use,
Okay, gotcha.
We use the, as many backing tracks as we like. But we keep it, I try not to use a whole lot of like, all the vocals are fairly live. There may be a few like call and response vocals that are just, give me a little bit of air. But other than that, it's all, all vocals are live representation.
Sure. I don't necessarily think that that's cheating. I think there's a growing number of live acts that are doing things like that, if not having in their entire instrumentation as backing tracks. I don't think that's cheating at all.
I think it was kind of a stigma maybe like 10 or 20 years ago, but it's growing out of that, especially with people realizing how accessible and easy it is to use backing tracks. And also, it's just more affordable for like a touring band to throw a track in there for like an extra guitar that's really, kind of buried in the mix.
Yeah, especially, if it's difficult, keeping your regular session musicians or even just regular, band members on a similar schedule. Sometimes, you can throw that backing track out for a show just to cover their part kind of thing. I don't think that that's cheating at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's most of the, like with us, the important pieces are live. I mean, like the lead guitar and the vocals and drums. I know the bass is important, but how we got to being a two piece is, and I'm not trying to take over a question, but I'm going to go ahead and get into this if that's okay with you.
Well, let's let's step back. Okay, so I always like to start these interviews kind of getting into where you found music. We kind of went off the rails there for a moment, and that's fine. That's okay. So tell me a bit about yourself, how you got into music, when you first encountered it, what about it, inspired you and made you want to pursue a life with it?
So there was a local banjo player in my hometown, and I saw him play the banjo and I was like, that's so cool. I want to get on stage and do what he's doing. And so I took lessons at eight years old to learn the banjo. And after 6 months, I got where I could play some songs, but I was still pretty young. So I just I didn't have the discipline to learn it. And also with the banjo, you can only play one style of music, and that's bluegrass. And so, fast forward, I'm 12 years old and my mother passes away with breast cancer. And I start to find myself, I need to find a way to, to like channel this pain and grief and loss that I'm feeling. And so whenever I was like 14, my dad always had an acoustic guitar sitting in our house because he took lessons. But he just kind of picked around. And so I was like, I'm going to teach myself how to play guitar. And I picked it up and I got my dad to show me a chord so I could play "Wish You Were Here" by Pink Floyd.
Sure.
And he kind of like started me off, and then I just took with it and ran with it, and started. While I was learning to play guitar, I was also like teaching myself how to sing at the same time, and also try to write songs at the same time. So I was kind of like doing everything, songwriting, singing, and guitar playing. Like I was learning all the kind of basics all at the same time.
Okay, so you were kind of doing it as a trial of fire, like learning it all at once and then kind of figuring out where you're at, after you felt comfortable with the instrumentation.
Right.
Okay. So where did you kind of move from there? Once you got to the point where you were comfortable playing and writing and then performing all at the same time, did you kind of conceptualize putting a band together, or was it about, writing an album? What was kind of, your ambition at that point?
Well, thankfully, my youth minister at the time used to play in bands like when he was younger. And he was like, man, since you're learning to play guitar, like, let's jam. So we went and got his like drums out of his grandmother's like attic or something. And we brought him over to a little space that I had to jam at my house. And the first song we played was "Smells Like Teen Spirit." And it kind of got him. So we took that little small, like 2-piece project, and we added a bass player and a singer, and we would just play like some fundraisers in the town and stuff like that. And that really, Steve was his name, Steve Hillis, and he really kind of like showed me how to be disciplined with practice and like, kind of picking songs out and learn them, and just kind of like the ropes of, playing in a band and kind of, keeping everything together, and just kind of the ropes of, playing music in a band. Sure. And so I took that, and when I went to college, I met Justin Swingler, and he was a huge Blink-182 fan at the time. And he played drums and I played guitar. And so I played in his little like pop punk band for 6 months. And then I was like, man, I just can't. I was really into Tool at the time. And that was just not my, but I just wanted to play music. So I was like, well, I kind of like Blink, but it's not really my, like passion of type of music. Well, fast forward a couple years later, he calls me up and is like, man, let's just start a project all our own and do, what we want to do. And he's like, let's do kind of like an atmospheric, like U2 type band. And at the time I was really into U2. So I said, let's do it. And that project was called Above. And then Above kind of translated into what I have now, which is Sleep Nation. And we were a 3-piece, and then we ended up being a 4-piece, and now we're a 2-piece. So
okay, so tell me, you kind of went into a bit of how Sleep Nation formed, but give me a little bit more detail about it. What exactly was the aspiration there? What was the goal for it? How did you kind of approach the writing for it, since you did want to kind of reach into, as you put it, what you wanted to do?
So, yeah. Justin Swingler called me, after we probably hadn't talked in like a couple of years, to really, like start just a different project. And it grew out of that. But we kind of got tired of playing the U2 type sound. So then we were like, let's just be a straight up rock band. And that's where Sleep Nation came into play. And also, at the time, like MySpace was really big. So Above, whenever you would research Above into Google, it was like impossible to find our band name. Mm-hmm. And so we're like, let's change the sound. Let's change the band name. So we came up with Sleep Nation. And unbeknownst to us, Sleep Nation is also a mattress company. And so if you Google Sleep Nation right now, you will get us and a mattress company that will show up in your Google searches. We are not affiliated with Sleep Nation, the mattress company, but it's also a lot easier to find us on Google when you search for Sleep Nation. But yeah, after we, we started playing around town and writing and we were really focused on original music. And we got the opportunity to record our first album at Beach Creek Studios in Franklin, Tennessee, and which was a massive, like, we went from, never recording anywhere to recording into like a multi-million-dollar studio. And that experience was kind of like spoiled us a little bit because, when you go to like no recording experience at all to one of like the top studios, in Tennessee, I mean, it was, it was an awesome experience, but, we haven't been in like a place like that in a long time, but yeah, we wanted to take it as far as we could. And that, we didn't really have like we all just wanted to like, quote, make it and get signed and all that kind of stuff. And we really, I guess, kind of like tried for that with that first album. But I believe that as time goes on and, we all get older and kind of the band lineup has changed over the years, especially like pre-COVID, the guitar player and bass player dropped out. So Joey and I were like, what are we going to do? And so that's when the backing tracks came in. And now I feel like that, with the way that the landscape is, that, success can be rated on you don't have to be like signed anymore, or, we just like I can't see myself doing anything else, like playing music is what I do. I don't have to, like be signed to a label, or like nobody's telling us, like, hey, you got to get this album out, in 6 months. It's like, we're working on an album, but, we do it at our own, pace. And
yeah, to that point, in the industry today, particularly, with, acts that aren't on that mainstream label circuit, success is a very personal thing where you're literally empowered to define what your level of success means to you. And you can reach that very easily because of the way that the market is set up now.
And a friend told, a guy I work with, he I don't know. I was kind of, every once in a while I get a little, little negative about stuff. And he was like, man, look at it, dude. There's stuff that you've done that like a lot of bands would wish they could do. Like we got the opportunity to play on like local TV in Nashville a couple months ago, and we got to play our new single Sophistication and an upcoming single Crybaby. And he was like, dude, like a lot of people wish they could do that, and you did it. And I was like, man, that's it's just kind of like how you change perspective. Like you said, with today's music landscape, success is really moderated by you, at the end of the day.
So it sounds like you guys are doing shows, hence all the backing track discussion. And then it sounds like you're also in the process of writing material. Where do you kind of want to see your project get to in the next, 5 or 10 years?
Just have more albums on, for streaming. And we've had the opportunity to have some songs and some short films, and one full-length film that was released, I believe, like 2 years ago. It was Potter's Ground. It was a horror film that was directed by Michael Butts, who directed our first 2 music videos. And so I really enjoy like working on music that's included in like the bigger picture stuff, like a major motion picture or, independent film. It's a pretty awesome feeling sitting in a movie theater and then getting to hear a song that you created yourself, in a room full of people watching a movie, as the credits scroll.
Well, along those lines, what are some of, the powerful moments you've had in the music industry, things that really kind of stuck with you?
So speaking of that moment, to give you a little more details of that, Michael Butts did a werewolf movie, and he rented out the entire theater and did a release day for that, and did a special screening for that movie. And we wrote a song, "I'm a Werewolf" with "That's Okay." We haven't officially released it, but it's on YouTube, and it's also whenever you go and stream his short film, Hair of the Dog, you will be able to listen to that. And being in a theater filled, with at capacity, and just sitting there and everybody's listening to your song as the credits scroll is a pretty amazing feeling. I feel like that moment was pretty awesome, and also getting to perform on Nashville television that was broadcast across the state was very awesome. Got that opportunity a couple months ago.
Yeah, that's very cool. So where can people find that stuff? Is there a recording of that performance on YouTube or something? And then where can people check out your social media?
So, like I said, if you just get into Google and search Sleep Nation, you'll be able to find us. But if it says Sleep Nation and then, there's mattress stuff below it, that's not us. But yeah, we should be with the first couple, Google searches will pull up Sleep Nation, the band. So yeah, that's the easiest way to find us. That'll pull up all of our music on, Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Amazon, however you want to stream us. We do sell 45 single vinyls at our shows, and that's got videos. We always release videos on Vivo. We have a single coming out this Friday, Red Guitar, which is Back to the Future themed, and we got the opportunity to have a DeLorean in that music video, so we're excited about that.
All right. And then I always like to give the person I'm interviewing the opportunity to put out their last word. So just a message that you feel you resonate with that you want to put out there.
I know whenever you preempted me with this back when we first started, I was like, oh man, I need a good while to really come up with something magical. But I don't know, man, music is really is a savior, man, for me, especially because just like I mentioned, when I was 12, I lost my mother to cancer, and I just didn't know what to do and how to cope with that pain. But man, music really, if it wasn't for bands, like Pink Floyd and just all my influences, and U2, like Bono, he lost his mother at 14. So I was I've really, whether you love or hate Bono, I mean, he's a great humanitarian, and he allowed me as whenever I read that, he kind of, went through the same thing that I did and found his, solace in music. I was like, man, music is a very powerful tool, and don't underestimate how much healing it can do. I guess that's my last word on that.